I have been saving for months to take a trip out to California. My plan was simple: spend a few days in Yosemite National Park, then drive down the coast and relax in San Diego before heading back home. I wanted this trip to be my escape from stress, no drama, no chaos, just nature and peace. But somewhere along the way, I made the mistake of mentioning my plans to my cousin, Emma. Emma immediately lit up, saying she'd always dreamed of seeing Yosemite. She suggested no, insisted that we make it a family trip. I hesitated, but before I could even properly answer, she had already started a group chat with my aunt, her boyfriend, and a couple of other relatives. Suddenly, what was supposed to be a quiet solo getaway turned into a caravan of 6 people. I told myself it might still be fun. Maybe it would be nice to share this adventure with family. That was my first mistake. We booked an Airbnb near Yosemite, a cabin with 3 bedrooms and a loft. It looked perfect in the listing, but as soon as we arrived, the arguing began. Emma immediately declared that she and her boyfriend would take the master bedroom since they needed privacy. My aunt backed her up, saying Emma deserved it because she had organized the booking. I reminded them that I was the one who paid the deposit and secured the place, but my words were brushed off with, "Don't be so dramatic. There's enough space for everyone." I ended up with the loft, which had a mattress on the floor and barely enough room to stand upright. To make it worse, every time someone walked through the cabin, their voices carried up to me. So much for peace and quiet. That night, as I lay on the thin mattress, listening to Emma laugh downstairs with her boyfriend, I realized this trip wasn't going to go the way I imagined. The next morning, I suggested we take an easy trail to get warmed up, and nothing too intense, just a hike to one of Yosemite's scenic waterfalls. But Emma had other plans. She'd been scrolling Instagram the night before and decided we had to do a much harder hike, one that required permits and would eat up most of the day. When I pointed out that I'd already made a plan and even bought maps, she rolled her eyes. "Come on, don't be boring. You always plan everything to death. Let's be spontaneous for once." My aunt chimed in again, telling me not to ruin the vibe. So, we did Emma's hike. It was grueling, and half the group complained the entire way. By the time we made it back to the car, everyone was sore, sunburned, and cranky. Of course, none of that mattered to Emma, who posed for selfies at the summit and declared the day a total success. I was already exhausted and we'd only been there for 2 days. By day 3, things were already spiraling. That morning, I woke up early, made coffee, and started prepping some sandwiches for the day's hike. I figured if everyone had food ready, we'd avoid the constant bickering about when and where to eat. But as soon as people came downstairs, it became clear I'd made yet another mistake. Emma wrinkled her nose at the sandwiches. "Ugh, turkey. I don't eat processed meat. You should have made something vegetarian-friendly." My aunt chimed in, "Yeah, not everyone wants the same thing. Why didn't you check with us first?" I bit back the urge to snap, because here's the thing. None of them had contributed to groceries, not $1. I had gone to the store the night before, then over $150 stocking the fridge. And now I was being criticized for turkey sandwiches. Later that day, when we stopped for gas, my aunt casually handed me her card and said, "Just put it on yours and we'll settle up later." Spoiler, she never did. In fact, by the end of the trip, I had spent nearly $600 covering food, gas, and random things they all forgot. Every time I brought it up, the response was the same: "Don't worry, we'll figure it out." I realized they didn't see me as part of the trip. I was the wallet. I was the chauffeur. And no matter what I did, it wasn't enough. One afternoon, we drove out to Glacier Point, one of the most stunning overlooks in Yosemite. I had been looking forward to it for weeks. The view was breathtaking. The valley stretched below us, half-dome rising like something out of a painting. I stood there quietly, just taking it all in, finally feeling a sliver of the peace I'd been craving. That moment lasted all of 3 minutes. Emma shoved past me, practically knocking my water bottle to the ground, and shrieked at her boyfriend to get the angle right. Suddenly, our little viewing spot turned into her personal photo shoot. She demanded that each of us take turns snapping dozens of pictures, barking directions like a wannabe influencer. Higher angle, no, I look washed out. Do it again. I finally told her to chill out, that this wasn't just about her Instagram. It was supposed to be about enjoying the trip. She froze, narrowed her eyes, and loudly said in front of everyone, "You know what your problem is? You always act like you're better than the rest of us. It's exhausting." The group went dead silent. My aunt quickly rushed to her side, patting her shoulder like she was the victim. "Sweetie, don't let him ruin your trip." Ruin her trip? I just stared at the valley, wondering how I had ended up surrounded by people who genuinely believed I was the problem, when all I wanted was for everyone to have a good time.
Subscribe to the channel and like this video.
By the fifth night, I was counting down the hours until I could drive home. The cabin had become unbearable. Every little thing sparked an argument. What time to wake up? Who got to shower first? Which trail to take? Where to eat dinner? And, somehow, every single argument circled back to me being too controlling or too negative. The final straw came when Emma accused me of ruining the vibe because I didn't laugh at one of her boyfriend's jokes. She stood there, arms crossed, telling me I needed to loosen up and stop acting like a dictator. Meanwhile, I was the one driving everyone around. I was the one paying for the gas. I was the one cleaning up the kitchen every night after they left piles of dirty dishes. And yet, in their eyes, I was the villain. That night, I sat on the loft mattress staring at the wooden beams above me. The Yosemite trip I had dreamed about for months was gone. In its place was a week-long nightmare that made me resent the very people I thought I could trust. I realized something important as I lay there in the dark. Once we got back home, I wasn't going to let this slide. They had treated me like dirt, and for the first time in my life, I was ready to stand up for myself no matter how much it cost me. The next morning started like every other complaints before coffee. Emma had taken the last of the almond milk I'd bought, mind you. She didn't even ask, and when I pointed it out, she rolled her eyes. "Wow, sorry I didn't check with grocery dad first." Relax. The whole table laughed, even my aunt. Even my own cousin, who just sat there, smirking. It was such a stupid little thing, but in that moment it felt like the universe had decided I was the designated punching bag. I kept quiet for most of the day. I hiked behind the group, half listening to their chatter, staring at the dirt trail and wondering how I'd let myself end up here. I used to imagine family meant support, loyalty, some sense of safety, but all I felt was trapped. Trapped in a cabin with people who genuinely enjoyed tearing me down. That night, things boiled over. Emma wanted to go out for dinner at some overpriced place in our way. I said no. I was exhausted. I'd already spent way too much money, and frankly, I just wanted peace. That was it. One no, she exploded. "You always ruin everything, God. No wonder nobody likes being around you. You're selfish, you're uptight. You're my aunt Cuttin, okay? That's enough." But here's the kicker. She didn't say it to Emma. She said it to me, like somehow I was the one throwing a tantrum. Something inside me cracked that night. I didn't shout, didn't argue. I just nodded, excused myself, and went for a long walk under the pines. With every crunch of gravel under my boots, I thought, when we get back, I'm done with them. For good. The last 2 days blurred into a haze of cold shoulders and backhanded comments. At one point, while we were waiting in line at a general store, Emma laughed loud enough for strangers to hear. "Careful, don't piss him off, he'll give you another lecture about how he's paying for everything." The cashier raised an eyebrow. My face burned. I wanted to disappear. I wanted to drive straight out of the valley and never look back. But here's the thing, I stayed. Out of some twisted sense of obligation, I stayed until the final morning, packed the car, drove everyone home, listened to them sing along to music, joke, and completely ignore the fact that I was sitting there stone-faced behind the wheel. When I dropped them off at my aunt's house, she barely said thank you. Emma didn't even look at me. She just grabbed her bags and flounced inside. I sat in the car for a good 5 minutes, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. My chest felt tight, like all the air in me was fighting to get out. For months, I had been looking forward to this trip. It was supposed to be a chance to reconnect. Instead, It had shoved the truth in my face. These people didn't respect me. They never had. And on that quiet drive back to my apartment, I started thinking about how I could make sure they never forgot what they'd done. Back home, the silence was deafening. For the first time in a week, I was alone. No whining, no fake laughter, no one asking for money or gas or food. Just me, my apartment, and the echo of everything they'd said ringing in my head. At first, I told myself to let it go. Just cut them off quietly. Move on, rebuild my peace. But then I remembered Emma's smirk at the store, my aunt's silence when I was being humiliated. The fact that I had drained half my paycheck for people who wouldn't even thank me. Letting it go felt like letting them win. So, I did something I'd never done before. I started writing everything down. Every expense, every comment, every petty little humiliation, a log of what had happened, page after page. The more I wrote, the clearer it became. This wasn't just a bad trip. This was years of being taken advantage of, concentrated into one nightmare week. And once I had it all on paper, I realized something. They had given me the perfect story. The only question was how to use it. It started with small things. I stopped replying to texts right away. When my aunt asked if I could help with a bill just until next week, I sent her a polite, "Sorry, I can't right now." Emma called twice, probably to ask for a ride somewhere. I let it go to voicemail, but I wasn't just ignoring them, I was planning. I still had all the receipts from the trip. Gas, groceries, firewood, park fees. I tallied everything. The total was sickening. And then I thought, why should I eat that cost alone? So I drafted a message in our family group chat. "Hey, I just finished calculating expenses from the cabin trip. Here's the breakdown. Split 3 ways. Everyone owes me amount. Please send it by the end of the month." I hit send and waited. The silence lasted 2 whole days. Then Emma finally responded with her signature charm. "LMAO, you're kidding, right? You offered to pay. Grow up." My aunt chimed in, "Honey, that's not how family works. We don't nickel and dime each other." I just smiled at my phone. Because I wasn't planning to fight them in the chat. I had something else in mind. See, what they forgot was that I wasn't just some passive ATM. I work in IT. I know how to make things visible. So I posted a long, detailed entry on a private Facebook group where half our extended family hangs out. Screenshots of Emma's messages, photos of the receipts, a calm, factual rundown of the trip, no insults, no exaggeration, just the raw reality of how I had been treated. It spread fast. My uncle called me the next day. "Man, I had no idea. They made it sound like you were being dramatic. Now I see the truth. Emma, she lost it. She texted me in all caps, calling me a backstabbing psycho." My aunt left me a voicemail, her voice breaking, asking why I'd want to humiliate them. The irony, I didn't humiliate them. They did that themselves. I just turned on the light. For the first time, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Control. They could no longer twist the story, paint me as the problem, or sweep it under the rug. Everyone saw them for who they were. After the dust settled, I made one final move. I blocked them. Every number, every social media account. Gone. At first, it felt harsh, like I'd severed some invisible lifeline, but within a week, I realized it wasn't a lifeline at all. It was an anchor, and I'd finally cut it loose. I started spending weekends differently, took solo hikes without worrying about being mocked, cooked meals for myself and actually enjoyed the quiet. I even planned a short trip at just me, no baggage, no one draining me dry. Sometimes I wonder if Emma still tells people her version of the story. Probably, maybe in her mind. I'll always be the uptight cousin who couldn't take a joke. That's fine. She doesn't exist in my world anymore. What matters is that for the first time, I'm not walking on eggshells around people who claim to love me while tearing me down. The cabin trip was supposed to break me. Instead, it broke the illusion. And honestly, that's the best gift they could have ever given me.
Subscribe to the channel and like this video.